Hey, beautiful souls. Welcome to Her Talks, the podcast that dives deep into stories, wisdom, trumps, mindset, and strategy from my life experiences and learnings, and that other beautiful, incredible women from all walks of life will be bringing. I'm your host, Anastasia Adam, and I help ambitious women, entrepreneurs break through barriers and achieve unappalling success, both by mastering mindset and skill using my signature process, Thrive and Achieve method. I went from experiencing grief and trauma to creating a multiple six-figure business while I was learning the skills and mindset to thrive and achieve. And I am beyond thrilled to embark on this empowering journey with you. In each episode, we'll unravel the layers of life, love, career, and everything in between. Her Talks is not just a podcast, it's a celebration of strength, resilience, and brilliance that women bring to the world. And get ready for amazing conversations, laughter, and a sprinkle of inspiration to fuel your day. Whether you're commuting, working out, or enjoying a cozy evening, Her Talks is your go-to companion for a dose of empowerment and connection. So subscribe now, hit that notification bell, and join our incredible community. Let's amplify the voices of phenomenal women and create a space where their stories, my stories, and everything in between can help resonate with you. Are you ready for Her Talks? Buckle up. Beautiful souls, it's coming now. Our community, our journey, it all starts together now. Thanks for being part of the Her Talks tribe. Let's now dive in. One of the most inspirational women, Carlee Modra, a work-from-home mum, guides the freedom seekers, unconventional women to build multiple income streams from anywhere. She has lived life completely outside social norms and lives and breathes the very essence of living wild and free. Carlee has lived in many places, traveled where her heart has called her, and lived with a deep faith and trust in life and where it takes her. She has built six-figure network marketing businesses that, looking back, she could really see that it was on shoddy shoulders. She's learned so much from that experience and is the basis of what we will be talking about today. And that is the importance of resilience and building a solid foundation when it comes to growing a long, sustainable business. Hello and welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me.
So good to have you here. So tell me, how are you going? What's going on with you these days?
I am good. I'm good. Yeah, I do have children in the next room, so I'm hoping that we will not be interrupted. Husband's holding the fort out there, but we should be good, I think.
Amazing. And look, that's probably how our businesses have always been built, right?
Always, yeah.
Yeah, you can't ever change it. So I've got some pretty cool questions to ask and go through today, but they're flexible and let's just roll with it. So for anyone that doesn't know you and has just met you, from people who do know you and come across you, what are some of the things that people misunderstand about you?
Oh, this is a good question because I feel like as someone who homeschools their kids, home birth my last baby, we live a mostly unconventional life, outside of what most people consider normal. So I think I get misunderstood a lot just on that. But I would say the biggest thing is that no matter what, I will always follow what I know to be true inside. And it doesn't matter if it's extremely counterintuitive, it doesn't make sense, the fear of judgment, of what other people will think. None of those things really stop me because I just trust what I know, even when it doesn't make sense to myself or anyone else. So I think that's probably the biggest thing where I get misunderstood with people, is because often my decisions don't make any sense. They don't even make any sense to me, let alone anyone else, but I just trust them. And often yeah, that can sometimes look like perceived failures from the outside. And so until you kind of come out the other side of that, it can often, yeah, have this element of people not understanding why you chose what you chose. And yeah, whereas I look back on it and think, oh my gosh, I can see exactly why it had to be that way because I got the learning from it. And
Yeah.
yeah, I would say that's the biggest thing.
When you said from inside, as in, do you feel like it's an intuition, or what do you call that you're referring to?
Good question. I guess I'm unraveling my beliefs around this a lot right now. So that's a whole other, that's a whole other podcast. But I would say there is an element of intuition and an element of being guided by something outside of myself that is also a
Yeah.
part of myself, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and how do I determine between the two? Often I don't know. I just know it's like I'm being guided towards something. I know when it's time to leave something or start something or whatever. And it just, I trust that above anything else.
Amazing. And that's so good to really guide and trust your inner ability. I think when you're looking at being resilient and bouncing back, there's nothing else to count on, is there?
Nothing else to lean on, no way.
So we're going to bounce with some business questions, some
Yeah.
personal questions. So the next one I'm going to throw at you today is, what's your favorite childhood memory?
Oh, so I grew up on the Murray River. I grew up in a small country town in South Australia, and that by far would have to be my favorite memories. My grandparents lived on a houseboat. Our whole life revolved around the river. We lived on the houseboat for a year and a half, so we would literally come home from school and be in the river until we went to bed. Hydro sliding and water skiing, and that is, yeah, when I think back to my childhood, that's definitely like, there's obviously other memories, but they just, yeah, camping and all of those things, best.
I can see how that core memory is something that's guided you to also put things like that into your children's memories too, because it was such a great one for you, which is so amazing. Oh my God, who wouldn't love as a kid to be on a boat for a while? Like,
The best. It was the best. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so how did you meet Justin, who's your other half?
Yeah. So we went to school together. So he was also in the same town as me, went to different primary schools. He was a year above me in high school, and we kissed when I was 15 at a party. And then we didn't see each other for like 6 years. And we ran into each other at the Schützenfest in Adelaide. It was a big German beer drinking festival. I actually ran into his brother first, and as I said to him, like, "Oh, where's Justin?" And I turned around, and he was like, "Right there," and we've been together since. That was it.
Go the Germans.
Yeah.
That's amazing. What a beautiful
Yeah.
story from
Yeah.
school. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, from school. And obviously, I mean, it's been a pretty roller coaster journey, and we've separated and we've got back together, and yeah, overall. And so that was like almost 21 years ago in January. So yeah.
Congratulations. That's beautiful. It's really, really special.
It is.
What's your biggest failure and what did you learn from that experience?
So I don't really believe in failure because I think you either succeed at something or you learn something. And so I have definitely gone through experiences though where I felt like I failed for sure. And it hasn't been until later where I've gone, really being able to take that higher perspective and see it for what it was. Because I think when you're in something, so in that moment, you just can't see the forest for the trees. And yeah, so I would say, and it's so interesting because I would also class this as my biggest success in business was my network marketing business. And it's so fascinating how the mind works in that, I built this 6-figure amazing income, beautiful team. And also I walked away from it. And obviously, as you do, the income eventually dwindles down to not a 6-figure income anymore. And so that felt like a massive failure to me for a really long time. There was a number of years where I was just like, why? And it didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I learned so much from it though, because again, it wasn't really in the looking until you look back. And when you're in it again, it was just like, I just knew at the time. This is also, I mean, I could blame a million outside reasons. You know, there was a downturn in the market. There was my husband and I separated. That's when we separated, right when all of this happened. But I knew it was more than that. It wasn't what was going on outside. And there was just no longer the passion there for me. And so I would try and I would try and step back into it and force and push. And it was just like, no, you know, my soul just kept saying, no, this door is closed. And I kept trying to open it. I'm pretty stubborn and it takes me a while to finally go, okay. And I finally let it go, but it came with a lot of stories about what happened and why it happened and myself and all of those things. And so then looking back, it was through actually stepping into another network marketing opportunity last year that was really the catalyst for me really healing a lot of that. It was a very intense 3 months of just so much coming up and all of the things that I did not heal through that process of the company that we were in together really came up in that time. And I realized that my nervous system was completely fried. Like I did not have the capacity to hold that income anymore. There was, again, a lot of reasons for that. I'd gone through a lot of health stuff, the separation, you know, lots of stresses on my body and a lot of healing work that I was doing without allowing time for integration. Like I was addicted to it. I was obsessed with it. And I look back now and just, yeah, it's such a cycle and loop that we can get caught in that is not healthy at all. So anyway, I realized like it would have been very masochistic of me to stay in that opportunity at that time because I was literally in tears every day. And it was just my nervous system couldn't hold it. And so I stepped out of that. And it was through that journey of stepping out of that that I could really reflect and heal and learn and really see what had happened through that journey when I walked out. And that was like, it definitely, I have built emotional resilience since then. And I don't think like it was there. Of course, I had some, but it wasn't like I do now. I have spent the last 2 years really intentionally healing my nervous system, slowing down, really focusing on nutrition, movement. I wasn't moving my body. I used to be a personal trainer back in another lifetime. And, you know, so I knew what I should have been doing, but I wasn't doing it. So, you know, the last 12 months especially has been a really solid focus on my body and just really building the foundations. That's what I kept hearing, you know, for the last probably since 2021. It was like build the foundations, build the foundations. And I thought that was in business at first, but I realized it was in me. It was like build the foundations in yourself because you know, like you had said in the introduction, I realized that network marketing business was built on shoddy foundations. I grew really fast and that can be good in some ways, but it can also be to our detriment because there was a lot of things that I didn't integrate properly. And so that was another thing I learned is like fast growth isn't always the best way. You know, it sometimes can create expectations within ourselves and yeah, just not, it's not a solid foundation to build a really long-term sustainable business on. So yeah, what else did I learn? I learned that's when I really started to live by there's no such thing as failure. You know, there is as much as I had felt that, I felt like I'd failed. It's like, no, I learned so much from that. And it has grown my character in a way that like nothing else could have. My commitment to my business now is like so beyond what it was before. And it's so deep and like everything is about long term, you know, like I'm okay with the slow and steady, which I wasn't before. I wanted the fast wins, I wanted the quick money and I wanted the big team. And, you know, all of that that's great if that happens. And, now I think if that happened now, I'd be okay because I've learned a lot from that previous experience. Like I would know how to hold that. But I just didn't back then. And yeah, it's been a big journey, but I'm so grateful for it.
I think a lot of people are on the same length and have experienced what you have. And it's interesting because like I've been on very similar journey just as you.
Yeah.
It was that personal trainer, body and mind and spirit was always really important. Then had this opportunity that meant that we could work from home, earn a great income, and growing that and all the things that were expected to grow that and to hold that definitely shot many of our nervous systems. And it's just unbelievable. And same with me the last 12 months, because again, like through lockdown and stuff, my nervous system was totally shot. And the foundations had to start back to basics, literally back to basics, and then start building that resilience of I can handle feeling this way today rather than it exploding.
That's right. And just being with it and not trying to change it or fix it, or there's something wrong with me, or this isn't growing fast enough, making meaning out of things. I think, we're meaning making machines. And I mean, I did a program, and no, not even a program. I just did like a masterclass earlier this year with a woman that focuses on money, but nervous system capacity to be able to hold the money. And she was talking about like how many women entrepreneurs do this. Like we hit the six figures and we can't hold it because of this, like our nervous systems just didn't have the capacity for it, because most of us are moms, like we have got a million things going on. And especially when you work from home, like my kids don't go to school, they're with me all the time. It's a juggle, like we're always, and even if your kids go to school, it's a different juggle because you're leaving the house every morning. Like I don't do that, like, and you're going and picking them up, and it's a different juggle, but a juggle still the same. And I think that women haven't evolved to do this, like it's so new to us. We haven't been in business like this for hundreds of years, like men, they're used to it. They don't have the same, it's so fascinating. Like they just don't have the same fears as us. And I don't know, their brains work so different. And so different things happen. And I feel like, for so many of us, some probably don't get to the extreme of what we have, but they definitely get burnt out. And some will blame the business model. I don't think it's the business model. I think it's us within that business model, because for whatever reason, it's different things for different people. But if it was the business model, every single person would do it, like it's like when people say, oh, network marketing can't be successful. Well, that's not true. Like I've earned $500,000 in network marketing. I know people who've earned millions of dollars in network marketing. It can work.
Yes.
For anyone. It's how we show up in that business model that determines whether we are successful or not. Right. So it's such a fascinating thing. And I think, I have such a strong belief in that nothing is an accident. There is no mistakes. There's no did something wrong. It's just everything is about taking us through where we're heading. And it's like everything that I have been through is building me into the person that I need to be for this next iteration of my life, and I believe that for everybody. I think when it seems like it's not is when you don't reflect. If people aren't reflecting and going, well, really sitting with why did something happen, then it can seem like it's just a big chaotic mess in your life. But when you actually just sit and you take the time to look and go, oh my gosh, well, if that didn't happen, that wouldn't have happened. And if that didn't happen, this wouldn't have happened. And I wouldn't have met this person. Everything is
interconnected,
divinely interconnected, isn't it? Like there's no freaking mistakes, as much as it feels so challenging sometimes. Yeah. Frustrating. That is the word.
Yeah.
But no mistakes. It's like everything makes sense at some point. You will always look back and go, oh, I get it. Yeah, I can see why that had to be that way now.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you're in it, you can't see it until you look back, as you said, and it's such a massive reflection. And been speaking to a lot of women, and that's the main thing, is we're trying to uphold this thing that we were never built for. And that's where my mindset mastery came in, which is now Thrive to Confidence, which you've got a beautiful part in, because I find that what I was learning through myself and my own journey and seeing women like you and the women that I was mentoring is, hang on, everyone's coming for business coaching, but before we get there, we need to set those foundations, that nurturing, that self-care, that acceptance, before we can look at that goal setting. Because when it starts building and we don't have those foundations, we crumble really fast and really hard. And we've experienced that. And I'm sure we will experience it again at some stage, going, oh my God, how are we here again? What lesson did I miss this time that I need to now pick up? Which is really interesting. So this was going to take me into the next question, which I feel like we've answered, which was, what's your personal experience you faced that was setback that you managed to bounce back from?
Yeah, I definitely feel that's the biggest, I reckon. And it's also intertwined. And I think, when you tell a story, you can tell a story from this angle and it sounds like this, and you tell it from this angle and it sounds like this. And, there's a million different ways you can look at an experience and make it mean different things. And I can look at that network marketing business and go, oh my gosh, I built, such a successful business, and, we made all this money and we traveled full time with our kids and blah, blah, blah. And that's true. So every single bit of that is true. And then I can look over from this way and I can say, oh my gosh, I built this network marketing company and then I just lost all passion for it. And I walked away from it, and I did nothing. I did nothing again. I said, I'm done. And that was it. And that's all true. And I can feel like a failure from that. And then I can, there's so many ways that we can tell the same story, and they all have different, you can put different emphasis on it, and it's still true. It's not saying that story is not true, because it is. All of those things happened. And at the time, like, I felt like, oh my gosh, this is going to be forever. This business, I'm going to be, this is it. I've made it. Don't never think that. Far out. That's the worst thing.
Everyone thought that at some stage in some business.
Yeah. And then life humbles you. And I think that's a beautiful thing. We probably all, to a certain degree, lacked a little bit of humility in that process. And because when things happen really fast and you're like, you think you've got it figured out. It's like, yes, I've cracked the code. No, you haven't, because there's other things that are always going to happen. And I feel like now, though, like going into this, so what I'm doing now is, is helping women build multiple streams of income in a way that is like, they all work together, and one of those pieces is I'm about to step back into network marketing, and I was so certain I would never do it again. And life just shows you that it's like, no, never say never. That's what I've learned. It's like, because I said, I'm never doing that again. I said to my husband, oh, and then it's like, what that
where your nervous system takes you on this, and you're like, I'm stubborn, I tried again.
But it's like, I know now that my nervous system is so, like, I can see when things are starting to slip out of balance, for sure. Like, even, just today I like posted on my social media of like, I'm taking a few days off because I can see I'm a work at home mum. Like, my kids don't go to daycare, they don't go to school, they don't, they're with me 24/7. My husband is FIFO, so he's away every second week. I have to really be so mindful of my work time. And, I wake up early, I'm up at 5. And so I get a few hours work in before they even wake up, which is great. But sometimes I'm like so in it, I'm like, oh, I want to keep going with this. And then I look at the time and, and I just get so in the vortex that work time starts to creep in. And like, right, I can see that imbalance happening. I can see how the scales are starting to slip over this way too much. And so I just have to bring them back. And I think that's a constant adjustment we're always making. you know, when you're so passionate about something and you want to keep sharing and doing the things, it's so hard. And I love my kids, and the thing I keep coming back to is like, what are my priorities? And my priorities are my children. And the thing is like, what, and my husband, like family, you know, and it's our priorities. We can have a priority that we think is a priority, but what are our actions actually showing us about that priority? And my actions were showing me that they weren't my priority, you know, like I was starting to slip into work was my priority. And so, yeah, I just have to go, okay, we need some adjustments. We need to get back into, yeah, what feels good, because it wasn't feeling good for any of us. So,
Too much of a good thing that we're enjoying is also a bad thing. And when we get into like, you know, I'm the same, like I'm on working on a project and I'm loving it. I'm like, no, tomorrow's Friday, like, oh, but I could fit so much in, and it's all, you know, and it's like, no, you got to remember to fit in those other things. We got to nourish, you know, there's 5 really important parts as a human that we need to fulfill, to be balanced to some degree. And it's constantly this, oh, I'm starting to feel my nervous system again. Like starting to, the brain's getting bored again. Like it's this constant dance between energies and time and the things that are important, and you know, juggling the things, and holding up. You got to be able to hold what comes down, and it's such an interesting overall balance as well. If there's anyone that is listening to this right now, who's going through a difficult time and struggling to see the light at the end of the tunnel, do you have any advice for them?
Yeah, I just say trust the process. You know, like trust that whatever is happening for a reason. Like I truly believe that. I think that we are always being shaped, and a challenge when you're in it can feel like it's never going to end. And it does, you know, like it always does, you know, nothing stays the same, and we always come out the other side of it, and we can feel like we're in it forever sometimes. Like, but yeah, I just think no matter what is going on, trust that there is a higher plan, that there is a higher purpose to everything that happens in our life. And yeah, we don't see it at the time, and we're not meant to, because we're meant to be so in it, you know, that we come out the other side, and then you can look back, and yeah, it doesn't mean it makes it any easier necessarily. Like some things can still be shit, you know, you can still look back and go, that was really shit, but you can still say, sorry for swearing.
It's all good.
Yeah, but you can still see why it had to happen, you know. Yeah.
It can be really hard when you're in the middle of it and it feels like you're never going to get out of it. And it's like, shit, this is life from now on. It can be a really scary place. But really, I think practicing and digging really deep. Like I personally invested so much money and time into getting myself feeling better again. It's like the supplements, the Chinese medicine, the chiropractors, like the psychologist, like I'll take it all. You know, you really got to dig into all those things, and just make sure that, you know, you're taking care of yourself too, then get out of that specific situation that you're in, but learn and take your time. And me and you are very similar, and I'm sure a lot of the listeners are, that, you know, when you want something, you want it now, and the whole process of taking time is so frustrating when it comes to business and it comes to getting health where you want it to be and all the things. And you just got to take a deep breath and trust that this is the way and someone's guiding us, and it's all going to be so important.
And I think slow and, you know, you mentioned health, of like, I also have been through this big health journey, and I think we're so conditioned for immediate gratification, you know, like I know that, so to give a very brief overview, had a lot of hormone stuff going on, put on a lot of weight. So my immediate thing was like, I need to lose this weight. But and I could have very quickly, I could have gone and done keto, and I could have starved myself with like fasting and done all of these things that inevitably would have created so much more turmoil in my body. And I didn't. Like I just was like, this has been a more than 2 year journey. of just slow incremental changes, focusing on my nutrition. Like I literally did not have the energy even to go for a walk. I was so, yeah, I was so, my metabolism had slowed down so much. I was just like, I thought that I was, maybe it was like chronic fatigue or something like this, but I knew it wasn't that. I knew there was something else going on. And I tried the doctor route and she's like, you're fine. And, your bloods look fine. And they didn't. But, I knew there was more to it. And what it came down to was that I was severely undernourished. Like I was not eating properly. I was eating all organic food and, healthy, but I wasn't eating enough and I wasn't eating consistently. And, just all these little micro changes that I have made that completely shifted how I'm feeling. Whereas, I go to the gym now, I'm lifting weights and I'm feeling that strength in my body again that I haven't felt in such a long time. And I think if I had have just tried to go, I couldn't have even stepped in a gym when I first started this. Like I had to really humble myself. I was literally lifting like 2 kilo weights when I first started. And as someone who used to lift weights quite a lot, that's a very humbling thing.
Right.
It's very little weights, but I couldn't do any more. And even that, I was noticed if I wasn't eating properly and that as well, I would, the metabolic signs were showing up. I'd wake up in the middle of the night. Like a lot of people don't know that the symptoms that they're experiencing are all linked to this, thyroid and metabolic health and waking up to go to the toilet in the night a lot and, all of these things. And yeah, that's all linked to the metabolism, and I had so many of the symptoms and I just slowly made the changes to now like, everything is functioning normally,
Amazing. You need to share that with me out of this.
I will.
Anytime. I need that. I reckon we've answered quite a lot of the business questions just without chatting. What's the biggest challenge that you're facing in your current projects right now that you're tackling?
So I would say just in my business in general would be looping back to the balance in my life, like really trying to find the ways that work well for me, because my best time to work is I'm a morning person, but it's also it's the best time for me to exercise and it's the best time for me to homeschool my kids and everything. It's like because in the afternoon, like I swear I turn into like my brain turns to mush and I really struggle with having to process information. Like I'm very sharp in the morning. So it's like, okay, I can't do all of those things in that time. So I've got to I got to definitely have stronger boundaries with myself of like, right, kids are awake, that's it. Close the computer. That's it. And I've just got to do that no matter what I'm doing. And I think if I can just do that and just have the discipline to do that, that is going to be enough to shift because then we can get into their stuff and homeschooling. And, they also take a little bit of time to wake up. They don't want to get up and just go straight into it anyway. So it's just finding I think, a better morning routine than what we've had the last couple of months. Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
It's the whole, Rome wasn't built in a day, as they say, and we want to smash out all these things. But realistically, the stuff we want to get in a day, we got to plan it out for the week or the month and not just try to get so much done because everything needs its time, everything needs its place. And especially our culture in this country, we are missing some links that a lot of other countries practice, which is like going to lay down, and resting.
Siesta. Yeah.
So like, we're standing up all day, like we need to lay down, we need to get the body balanced, we need to relax the mind. And in so many cultures, it's a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
And we have got such high rates of anxiety and depression and stuff. And I think it's massively linked to not having
production. Yeah.
It's just like production people. That's right. We're not living a life as humans, and laughter and nourishing and food and rest. And it's literally, go, go, go. And as much as we do try to take away from the matrix and not be stuck in it all, to some degree, when you're in this country, life doesn't allow it to be different.
Yeah.
having that all the time unless you really, really practice it really hard, and not get bought into all the things. So it's a really interesting balance that we need to put into place to keep ourselves well.
Yeah, planning. You mentioned planning, and I think that's been the biggest thing for me is I've never been a planner. I resisted it as a freedom seeking, like I don't do planning. Oh my God, that felt so restrictive. And I've learned over the last few years, it's the ultimate freedom comes from planning and structure in your life. And it's finding the structure that works. And that's kind of what I'm playing with at the moment, is that the structure that used to work is not working, because I'm doing a lot more now with like going to the gym and trying to fit in things for myself as well as for them. And yeah, I think that planning, it doesn't come naturally to me. It's really difficult. But I'm learning to do it, and it's making a big difference, because I was that person of like, I've just got to get everything done now, because I was like, I just do things in the flow. I don't plan. And it's the worst thing because you get so overwhelmed. And I mean, I am a very when I know what I need to do, I can belt out whatever needs to happen really quickly. Like I can build a website in a couple of days, and I can work really quickly, which is great, but it was also to my detriment because it just meant that I never had a plan. Whereas now I'm really trying to start planning all areas of my life. Because it's chaos when I don't. That's what I realized. I realized I was living in chaos. And then I was like, okay, I started doing some planning. Meal planning is like life-changing. Meal prep is life-changing. And I think, why was I not doing this? So yeah, it makes such a difference.
It does. It really, really does. Where can our listeners find you?
Yeah, so I have a website, which is www.livingwildandfree.com. But the main place I guess I hang out is Instagram, which is just Carlee Modra _livingwildandfree. I have a Facebook page, but I'm very, very I just don't go on Facebook very much anymore. I really just go in, quickly check in with like family and friends, what are they up to, and then I go off. I'm much more focused on Instagram. I just like it better over there. So that's probably the best place. That's where I share the most, and yeah, the most active for sure.
Amazing. Well, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on, and thank you for taking the time to share so much beautiful things with us today. And I will pop up where people can find you as well in the bottom of the podcast. So
amazing. Thank you, Annie.